Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's just Kat. I am Kat. Today we are talking about perfectionism, overcoming having that standard of being perfect and allowing it to overrule every area of your life. I suffered from perfectionism, not all my life, but most of my young adulthood into adulthood, and I'm here to talk about it. I'm hoping that this video and what I've learned can help you if you are dealing with perfectionism. It's not a fun life to live. It's a hard element to add to every aspect of your life. You're kind of putting yourself at a very, very, very high standard that nobody is putting you to except for yourself. And it's hard. So I hope that me talking about my journey will give you some sort of discernment and insight and clarity into how to overcome your perfectionism and ultimately give you freedom. So I wasn't perfect. Never perfect. I'm never perfect. I meant to say I wasn't a perfectionist all my life. It kind of built up to my young adulthood ish season of my life, from a very young age. I don't know, I felt like I had to live up to the standard everybody was expecting me to live up to for some odd reason. I did me. I don't know. I just had this feeling that everybody was watching me. Everybody watched what I did, how I did it, why I did it. And then, yeah, they would question me about everything. I remember in elementary school, just friends literally watching how I made a craft at school, and that that you could feel that like tension or somebody just staring at you and criticizing you. It was like that, and I swear to you, I wasn't paranoid. It was really uncomfortable to be in third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, knowing that your friends are looking at you and watching you and seeing how the way you move, and then that carried on to middle school. In middle school, it kind of got a little bit more blatant. They weren't just watching me, now they were asking me questions, and they would do it critically. It wasn't, hey, why do you do so and so and so out of curiosity? It was like, why are you doing it like this? So it was very judgy, and I quickly picked up on it, right? Because I was kind of used to it, but then I didn't know how to respond. So I would definitely shy away from answering those questions, because what do you say? Like, because I am me? Like, because that's how I say stuff, that's how I do stuff, that's how, and then high school. High school was a beast, because not only what did I feel criticized all the time, it was an added layer of being judged on like a racial level as well. So I did not fit in high school. I went to two high schools during my during that time, and one was predominantly white, and then the other one was predominantly Hispanic and Black. And either school, I did not feel like I fit in. It was like I'm either too much on one side or too little on the other side, So it was a lot of like, why do you talk like that? Why do you dress like that? Why do you put your hair like that? Why do you do your makeup like that? And so taking that year after year after year growing up, you start to internalize everything. And so in college, I started really paying attention to the output, of the external, what I was doing externally in my life. How I dressed, how I spoke. I was very hyper aware that everything that I did could be on the chopping block for somebody to tear apart. And so obviously that makes you guarded, number one. And then it kind of presents this I don't care attitude because you don't want to get hurt, obviously. So when the criticisms came, I acted like I didn't care, but truthfully I did. And so slowly I just withdrew, shut down, created like this persona of somebody that I thought would not be criticized as much as my true self. It did not work. It almost backfired. So it was like, what am I left with? I remember we were getting ready for, me and my friends were getting ready for a party, and I was doing my makeup, and I could just feel like, I don't know, eyes watching me from my friends, and, painting my nails. And it was just like, I don't know, it was just weird. And I mean, not to like gloat, but I mean, I did makeup well. Everything that I did, I just did naturally well. So it wasn't like I had to work at a lot of things. Creatively, I was naturally good. So doing all that stuff, friends would be like, hey, can you do my makeup for me? Can you paint my nails for me? Sure. I had no problem with it. But then I know that when it came to me, I was definitely criticized. Whether they did it in front of my face or not. A lot of the times it was very much passive aggressive. So that irked me. But, what are you going to do? They're my friends. That was my mindset. It was like, whatever, let's just go out. Like, whatever. So that was a big part of me wanting to be perfect. I think the biggest thing for perfectionists is not wanting to be judged or put on the chopping block and seen for all the flaws, because you grew up with a high standard on yourself and a high standard from other people around you, that it's like it irks you that you try so hard not to make a mistake, but you always make a mistake, and somebody always calls you out on it, and so you try harder, and you heighten, or you push your standards higher. You tell yourself, next time, nobody's going to see any kind of flaw. I better not hear any kind of criticism or any kind of like backhanded comment or any kind of passive aggressiveness from anybody. I'm going to hit the mark. And that's how perfectionists live on a day-to-day basis. And so that was me. It was hard to hear criticism or just like putting something out there and having somebody say, oh, there was a grammar mistake, and it's like, because prior to me posting a thing or me putting out something, it was like weeks of like editing, of making sure that there were no mistakes. And for somebody to just easily come out and say, oh, you have a mistake on your paper, it was like, what are you, like, who cares? Like at one point or one side, it's like, who cares? Like, I don't care. But then on the other side, it really irks you because you put so much time and effort into presenting this perfect masterpiece of a thing for somebody to look in 5 seconds and see a flaw. And I had to really get over that. It wasn't until I was challenged with it. I was told that I was a perfectionist. And even though internally, obviously I knew that, but it wasn't until somebody in a loving manner reached out and said, hey, you're dealing with perfectionism, that I started to work on it. And I realized that, number one, it was rooted in pride because, to think you could be perfect at anything is like wild. The Lord is the only perfect person in this world. He's the only one that can do perfect things. So feeling like you have to be perfect kind of makes you feel like you can be better than the Lord, and you can't. And then number two, it was paired with a lack of grace on my part. I wasn't accepting the Lord's grace for my mistakes and for my weaknesses. It wasn't like internalized, and I wasn't giving myself room for grace over my weaknesses and my shortcomings. I despised my weaknesses and my shortcomings, and so it was really hard for me to kind of let it go, in a sense of being like, okay, it happens, it's not a big deal. That was really hard for me. But it wasn't until I really sat and like did a deep dive into, and this was like my deep dive into learning about the Lord's love for me was like weeks of work. It was a constant reminder of who I was. He just continually, if you can hear my dog, he continually reminded me, hey, I love you. Okay, you did a mistake. Hey, I love you. Okay, yes, I forgive you. Hey, I love you, And I was like, why would you, this is the question I asked the Lord, why would you love somebody that just continually makes mistakes, right? And it was like grace and mercy. Like, it was super easy for him to answer. And it was revealed, he was like, you can't receive my grace and my love and my mercy for you because you don't even have it for yourself. Like, we got to work on that. So the work had to be done in order for me to really hear him when he said, like, I'm not expecting perfection. He said that multiple times to me over the course of, studying his love for me. And he was like, it's progress, like make progress, not perfection. And I'm like, I'm trying, but it was like, I was trying to make perfect progress. And that's not what he was looking for. He was just looking for progress. It could be messy progress for all he cared, as long as I was making progress. And so once I really received that, like, it was like a weight lifted off of my shoulders. I could breathe, and I could actually receive the grace of God and be like, you know what? I screw everybody who puts me at this standard that I can't meet. Like, it kind of like freed me up from a lot of negative thoughts about myself. It freed me up from people pleasing. It freed me up from caring about what other people think of me. It freed me up from rejection. It was just that key that needed to be unlocked that kind of unshackled a lot of things that I was still battling with simultaneously. And so once I was like, okay, like, this is progress over perfection. Like, it's okay, Kat. Like, you don't have to do everything accordingly in its own box and check every every box and do it to a standard that I didn't even like. Could I tell you what the standard was? No. I just knew like this, it was this internal check of a standard that I knew that if I got there internally, like that feeling, that I was like, whoo, I'm good, you know? But I had to let go of that too. With progressing in certain things in my life that the Lord was telling me to do, it was like, okay, like I could do a thing one day, and then if I screw up the next day, like just keep going, right? Like I got over always wanting to go back to the starting line because I didn't run the race up to that point perfectly. And so it was like once I started down the road and I made a mistake, it was like I had to like turn around, go back to the starting line, and then do it again. And Lord was like, no, like you don't always have to start over again. Like just pick up where you left off and keep going. Recollect yourself, rethink it through. I think that's a word, rethink it through. Anyway, and keep going. If you make a mistake, okay, so what? People make mistakes. Just keep going. And so, yeah, I don't know how else to describe that. It's just an internal like freedom unloading of being like, I can finally be me. I can finally be quirky cat. I can finally just do what I do and not give a crap about somebody pointing at the hair sticking up in the back of my head and then feeling like that one hair ruined the whole, you know, it was so freeing, and it still is, and I'm still working at it. Every day I have to kind of check myself and say, Kat, just, you're doing fine. Like, you're doing fine, right? There's somebody said that, I was watching this another YouTube channel, and the person said that if you're doing something, if you're working at a thing, you're better off, or I don't want to mess it up, but basically like you're better off than like 90% of the population, right? Like you're at least you're in the race, at least you're on your path. Even if you kind of stumble over some hurdles, like you're doing a thing, because a lot of people don't even start the race because they're scared. And so that also was like an added like, whew, because I always felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. And it's like, no, I was getting somewhere. Although my attempts of doing things failed in the past, I had to not chalk it up and kind of throw it out because it didn't succeed and it didn't amount to my standard. And I had to chalk it up to, no, those were lessons learned. Those were building blocks that I could use in my next season, in my next chapter of life, to not repeat the past and not repeat mistakes, but be strengthened in those areas of weaknesses, instead of harboring in the fact that I quote unquote failed, which I didn't. And so that also kind of launched me into this life of unperfectionism and a normal standard of what it looks like to just live and try to meet a standard of excellence instead of perfection. I think there is a big difference, right? A lot of people hear excellence as like, oh no, that's perfection. And it really isn't. It's doing the best you can with the resources you have, right? With the talents and the gifts and the time that the Lord has given you. Everybody's different. Everybody's point of excellence looks different. And everybody is at a different spectrum across the continuum, you know? So If you're in a season where you see somebody else and you're comparing yourself to somebody else who seems like they have it all, they have the time, they have the resources, they have the money, they have the thoughts and the gifts and the this and the that, and you're over here with, 2 kids barely making it ends meet, but you have so many good ideas, or you just want to improve your well-being, and you just don't know where to start, but you're seeing this other chick who's like, doing it. It's like you guys are on whole different continuums. Like, just don't even compare yourself. I tell my daughter that all the time. Don't compare yourself to other people, number one. And number two, do the best that you can with the resources you have now. Period. Like, there is a point of excellence for you. You just have to go to the Lord and ask, where is this? How can I be excellent with what I have now? With the time that I have now, with the internal and external environments that I have now. How can I do that? And then what can I do to get me to where you want me to be in the next season of my life? And then recycle that. Okay, so now I'm in my next season. Where do you want, how can I be excellent in this season? And then what can I do to get me to the next? And you just keep doing it. And the Bible says you go from glory to glory, and I believe that's a part of it. You're growing from season to season, and it's supposed to not be a digression. It's supposed to be an increase, slowly but surely. And yeah, you're gonna get stuck, and yes, you're gonna make mistakes, because we're human. But at the end of the day, if you keep just chugging at it, right? Dory said, keep on swimming. Come on, it's a cartoon, but hello, Pixar. But she's right. Keep on swimming, even if it's in the circles. At least if you stop swimming, you die, okay? So just keep swimming, just keep going. Keep trying. Sometimes it is exhausting. Then sit your butt down and rest for a minute. Hello. You don't always have to keep going. You're going to burn out. You burn out just means that you're stuck, and you don't, you kind of lose that oomph. And you can't lose that fire. That fire has to be kindled at all times. And it's not you kindling it, it's the Lord. So as long as you're like this with the Lord, then that fire is going to be kindled, but you can't just stop. You can't just give up. That's when you fail, right? So always I try to encourage my audience to just be better people each and every day, to just not give up. And for, those perfectionists out there, there is a better way. I promise you. I know that it's like a heavy burden, heavy weight that you wake up every single day and everything has to be in its place. You're like the what is it called? The type A. It's okay. Really, it is. Make a mistake, it's okay. Just keep pushing. Simple as that. But I also, like I always do, encourage you to go to the Lord and help you with that, because it's not a way to live. Feeling like you have to be perfect all the time is not the way to live. It's not what the Lord has for you. I promise you that. There's something way better, and it's called living a normal life and thinking normal thoughts and looking at yourself in a normal way and rejecting all the negativity that likes to tear you down. Right? I promise. I'm living proof. Hello. So, I think that's it. I think that's all I'm getting off my soapbox. I'm done with the rant. But I hope it helped you. I hope this video kind of put some kind of spark and some kind of thought into your head about, oh yeah, like progress over perfection. That's going to be the theme for you for now on. I'm calling it, okay? Because it is for me. It's helped me through a lot of crap. So progress over perfection. It's okay. I'll see you later. Have a great evening. Bye.